Good morning, afternoon, evening, day to everybody. And welcome to the Monday stream of forgetting what the hell I did over the weekend. Let's tweet this because I have to start before I can tweet because YouTube is annoying as shit. Unless there's a way. Yeah, I've never been able to find like a live stream link on YouTube. Yeah, I always have to wait for the new custom one to pop up. Oh, I'll look into that to another day. Let's figure out where's my link today. On YouTube. Yeah, of course. Forgot to mute, so that didn't help. Okay, let's see. Or voila, backwards, tweets. Okie dokie. Day of the work, 12:26. Alright, I actually started early a little bit ago, but it should be good now. Days 26, minimize that. And of course, a cat came. Okay, so good morning, Sterling. Where are we at? Oh yeah, open up the effort project. Okay, so where'd it go? Oh, I got too much crap open. There we go. So hopefully everyone had a good weekend. Hopefully everyone had fun. And the tweezers. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Almost had a catastrophe, literally. I had a cat come visit. And good morning, Harry. Okay, so hopefully everyone had a good weekend. The plan was to originally start work on the score system and the UI for the shooting gallery game mode. However, I know I had an issue where when we loaded up our main menu map and we tried to do this, funky little thing here, we still have some bugs in here, which I do need to fix. Let me add these to my list, actually. Bug fix mouse over on main menu. But the biggest thing I didn't like was the fact that we were loading in our streaming levels here, which this is our second streaming level, and we kind of had to disable the player by having the player see if we were in the main menu, and I didn't like that. And I knew Epic recently did something, and I didn't know the exact proper method. I had some ideas, but I didn't know the proper method that Epic used, and I looked into it. And all they do is they have, let's see if we can get this working is what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is they just had a default pawn, and this was I'll just call mine blank pawn. And all they did was set up their game modes to use the blank pawn. And then the blank pawn itself is empty. It's nothing. So by default, the blank pawn is going to not show up, and nothing should happen when you start a new map with the blank pawn. So that's what they did, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and try to see if we can make work. But let's see. So we have main menu. We're going to do a custom game mode for our main menu, and we're going to make sure it uses the default player controller. That's not my. Let's make sure my. Yeah. Okay. So we want the default player controller, so we have so we don't have any funky issues with not having the correct pawn, and then we want to do the blank pawn, so that way we in theory have a blank pawn. That's our goal here. And then in here, main menu, which is where I should be. Okay, so it should give us no errors. And if we check the map, we have the blank pawn and we have our player controller. Okay, so now I shouldn't have to. This is what I'm hoping. I don't actually know how this is going to work. Okay, I can't move anything. What I'm curious about is, you'll notice in here we have our blank pawn and we have our player controller. When I mouse over the shooting gallery, we stream. Dang it! Can I eject, please? Oh, crud. I'm trying to get over to the stupid outliner on the right so we can see. Yeah, let's see if we can. That's not the way we scroll down. Okay, well, you know, screw you. I can do this. I can make our outliner really big. There we go. What I wanted to see is if it loaded up our other controller and our other characters, or basically if our second game mode loads up. It looks like our second game mode doesn't load up as long as we have in the primary one here, the overridden, which is what I was hoping. So now, in theory, if we go into our character, now we put in this special code right here to basically not create ourselves when we're in the main menu for our HUD. Now, in theory, yep, we still have no HUD. That's what I was trying to get working. That my words were failing miserably at, as you saw there. So let me go ahead and delete this and fix this. And then we also had, what else? That was our HUD, and we had, I want to say the controller had something maybe? Yeah, our controller had this one right here, which creates a controller HUD. So now if we go back, let's go to maps, let's go to our main menu, save everything, hit play. There we go. Now we should end up with nothing extra. No need to run extra code. Our controller's not going to try to control a pawn that doesn't exist. And in theory, when we hit shooting gallery, since it loads up a new map, now we have our FPS character and FPS controller you can see on the right side. Okay, cool. That's what I was hoping. I knew there was a way to do it properly. I just didn't know if it was, for example, spawning in a blank one like this example, or if you had a way to simply not possess on start. And this is the way that Epic does it for their multiplayer example. So we're good to go there. I wanted to fix that bug. Do you have videos on all the properties of a game mode class? So to answer that, I do not. If we go all the way back here, we have what is game mode. And that's technically what I'm working towards right now, explaining actual uses. Game modes are not needed. You could use the default game mode if you want. Game modes are helpers. They are primarily there for storing things unique to that game mode, but yet you still want things common. So in our case, we have our FPS game mode, and then we have our shooting gallery game mode, which inherits from our FPS game mode. So we have our parent game mode, which has, you know, our parent things for handling like our sound and all that. And then our shooting gallery game mode is going to keep track of things like putting a score on the screen and stuff like that. Things that are unique only to this game mode. I believe the game mode also has specific events in it for multiplayer. I think that is, yeah, right here. If we go to our game mode and we go to override, you have things, custom events that are designed to fire off, like handling a game over. No, actually, that's mine. Never mind. I meant this stuff like this. On-post login, swap player controllers, restart player, log out, change name. So things that fire off that are intended to be helpful for multiplayer, since the server has the game mode in multiplayer. Yeah, see, spawn default pawn for a starting spot, spawn it, default transform, ready to start match, ready to end match. But unfortunately, I have not. I have not handled game modes completely because they are very large, and I have not done it yet. So no. I do plan on doing it, though, in the future, in theory. It's just a lot of it is multiplayer-oriented, and since I haven't covered multiplayer itself at all, it's not done yet. We'll just go with that. It's not done yet. Okay, so the question is, why is my phone not on silent? No, that's not the question. The question is, do I go ahead and start working on the score system and leave the bug for the mouse on the main menu, or do we fix the bug right now and then work on the score system? As much as I want to work on this score system, if you know there's a bug, it may lead to other issues, even though this is technically just a UI bug and it shouldn't. I'm thinking it might be smart maybe to take a quick 5-minute stab, see if we can fix it. And that bug is, of course, when we go to one of our things here for display, and then we go to another one, it kind of, you know, we're not really getting a good smooth fading effect. Now, if I was to disable the fade and it went instantly, this wouldn't be an issue. But I think the fade gives it a little bit of class, I guess. I mean, we already have a crappy enough looking game already. We might as well add a little bit of extra feature there. And hello, Matt. So, can of raid, yeah. Unfortunately, this isn't actually a bug in the system. It's a bug in our code. So let's fix that, assuming I can remember where the hell I put anything. That's going to be in our main menu, right? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so here's our code. Here's our bug. I'm thinking I can quickly just make a Boolean that basically only triggers. Okay, so here, let's audibly discuss this. So let's say we come in from nothing and we go over the shooting gallery button. So we hover over it. We're going to fade in over half a second, and then we're going to show. Well, technically, we're going to show it and then fade in over half a second. And then when we unhover, which is, let's say we move it to the left, it's going to do the reverse. It's going to fade out over half a second, wait for half a second, and then hide the map. Now, the problem is this delay is where we're causing our issue due to the fact that this is done immediately. The fade is finished immediately, and even though the fade takes half a second, this code is going to fire. What our issue is if the player goes from, like, say, our shooting gallery button down to the assault course button, while this is firing for half a second, we're going to end up seeing both of the maps. So we technically want it when you are hiding, we want to not show something else. So what I'm thinking is this code right here, and I mean this code right here and this code right here are identical except for the package name. I wonder if we can kind of cheat. Yeah, let's see if we can cheat, because cheating's all, well, not cheat, but let's see if we can make this more efficient, shall we? So this is going to be fade in background map. So this is going to fade in the background map. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab an input, and we're going to turn this into a name. So this is going to be the level we're going to fade in. And we're going to try to spell that properly. And we're going to run to the stupid case sensitivity issue. We're going to fix it for the third time. Yeah, there we go. And we'll do a name. And we are simply going to take that name and pass it into our streaming level, like that. And anyone remember what the streaming level name was for that one before I just erased it? Yep, I don't either. So we're going to do that. So this node will now fade in the background map. So if we copy this node and we delete this, and we hook this up here, and we hook up this name here, and we properly, there we go. And we'll delete this. Now we can have a node we can call to fade it in. Is there a way to control the fade directly? Something like set fade alpha. Technically, that is what this node does right here. If you simply set the duration to 0, it will, well, actually, I think there's a set. Yeah, here we go. Set manual camera fade. We'll do it as well for what you're asking. But if you just simply set the duration to 0, it'll go from, it works the same as this node right here, basically. This one just simply takes in the fade amount. So, I mean, if we wanted to, I think I'm kind of guessing what you're doing there is we could have it immediately do it, but I like the fading in and out. I think it would be weird to, like, basically move down to here and then have immediately drop in, which is what I'm trying to prevent. What I'm thinking of doing is this node right here can now technically be called right here, for example. And then we set, we do a new variable, and we'll do this map to fade in. We're going to call this a name, like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can make this work. So delay, We're going to set the map fade in, because all we're going to care about is after this one. Yeah, we're technically running into an issue here too. We can't use the delay. We're going to have to turn this into a timer is what we're going to do. Okay. Let's see how much crap I can break. Because, well, you know, that's how we normally do it. Let's see. Let's get rid of this code. Let's grab this code. We know this code is good right here. Basically want this code right here. Let's pull this off. Let's put this down here. Make a custom event, and we're gonna call this one hide map. We'll just call it hide background map. Probably to be consistent. We'll call this hide background map. And all this is going to do is hide the background map that we. Yeah, I'm gonna figure this out in a second. You can't use, no, you can use delays in a HUD widget. We are in a HUD widget right now and we're using delays. You can't use timelines. You can use timers. So timers and delays, and I'm actually leaning towards timers right now. It's just my brain knows what it wants to do right now. It's just not connecting the lines. My thought process is basically, this is my fade in. So the fade in should not work without an issue. The fade in works fine. When I want to call the fade out, my thought is basically we're going to fade out no matter what. So this code right here should work. We're going to want this code to get called no matter what on the fade out. Like this. So we're going to want that to happen. But what we're going to want to happen is basically when you mouse over something and we're currently fading, we're going to store the map we want to fade in and then display that once we're done fading out. So that's my thought process there. So set timer by event. Actually, this isn't even an issue. What we're going to do is, yeah, our fade out event we don't care about. Okay, yeah, so we're good. So our fade out and our fade in are perfectly fine here. What we're going to do is set timer by name. I still want to do that. And then we're going to duplicate this. We're going to call map to fade out. Like that. We're going to set the map to fade out to be right there. Half a second later, we're going to call fade out. So did we make a custom event for that? Hide background map right there. Oop, like that. And then we call this one, actually we just call map to hide. That way it's consistent at least. So we'll call that one map to hide. And then we'll call this event. And then after a second, we're going to, it's called map to hide. So that way after half a second, it should hide this map. That is the plan. I have a feeling there's something I'm not doing right yet, but shouldn't really be an issue here. We'll figure this out. And then on this one, the map to hide. Yeah, okay. So let's see if that works in terms of what our old. Yeah, okay. There we go. So our old. Is it working? Or did I still have it showing? There we go. Nope, I still have it showing. Okay. So obviously something's wrong here. Yep. Okay. Did I set map to hide properly? Or did I have that? No, shooting gallery map, map to hide, half a second. Oh. It'd probably help if I called this friggin' function properly. Like that. There we go. Visible map, invisible map. You can see the little eye in the top right corner where it says levels. You can see it's visible now, and then it hides itself. So we've got this set up so after half a second, it hides itself. We can ignore the other map because I haven't hooked it up yet. Okay. So the goal here now is then if this timer, so we're going to go ahead and promote this to a variable, and this will be the fade out, hide timer, map hide timer. I know this seems really stupid and silly. There may be better ways of doing this, but let's see if we can get a system working, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll go ahead and set our map hide timer. Actually, let's do the proper code on this one. We'll clear and invalidate the timer after we've gone ahead and used it. Okay, so we're just doing a little bit of safety checking there. So now what we want to do on our, let's say our assault course, where we fade it in, is we're just going to do a simple check here. We're going to see if this is valid. And that's the Boolean version. So let's try that again and get the function version. Okay, you're still not covered. Is valid. That's what I want. Oh, no. Poop. It's not an object, so we can't do an is valid on it. Well, that's annoying. Same thing in theory. Just have to do an if check. Okay. So let's see. If we have a valid map currently being hidden, then we don't want to fade in our background map. If we don't, then we want to fade in our background map. Now, if we do have a current one, then what we're going to do is simply grab the, where'd the stupid node go? This node. We're going to fade in our background map right here. Okay, cool. And we're going to set the map to fade in to whatever the hell we called this map, which is our assault course map. This is a really weird code. I don't know if I'm happy with this right now. Oh, have fun, Matt. I would not recommend going out shopping today. That is the most evilest thing you could possibly do. But good luck. Okay, so in theory, if we are currently hiding something, then we're going to set our map to fade in to our assault course. If we're not hiding anything, then we're going to go and fade in right now. When we are done hiding, if we have a map to fade in, so basically this is not set to nothing. So I don't think we can do a valid, but it's probably just an equal check, right? Yeah. We'll check and see if it's equal to none. Which I don't. Can I do it the other way? Can I do none is equal to? That should work, right? Just so I don't have stuff like branching over each other. Usually, I mean, if you think about it, you go, if this is equal to nothing, then do this. But if nothing equal to this, it should work. It's an equality equation. Okay. So if it's equal to none, then we're going to go ahead and do nothing. We're done. We don't have anything else to fade in. If it's equal to something, then we're going to go ahead and fade in the background map, which is our little node here. And then it'll be the map to fade in. And then we simply take our map to fade in and set it to nothing. And the cat came back. Okay, so interesting code. Let's see what happens. If we go from shooting gallery to assault course, yep. Okay, I got the desired result. I haven't coded everything up, don't forget. But I should be able to go from here to here, here to here. And if I quickly go from one to the other, it should fade in smoothly. That's what I was hoping for. All right. So let's go to fix the rest of our code. This one is the on hovered. So we'll copy this and our uncovered, on hovered. This is our new on hovered code right here. And of course, if you notice, these things are the same in terms of this code is the same. It's just our map that's going to be different. So in theory, it's really simple to even condense this down into another node, for example, or a macro. Make things a little bit cleaner. Because technically we are reusing code, and it's really inefficient to not condense your code. If we end up changing one of these things, we're going to have to go through and change the code for every single version of it. But we do have a day or two set aside to doing what I'm trying to say and failing miserably at. Optimizing code and condensing code. Okay. So let's see how this works. Let's see if we can break it. Okay, I can't get it to display nothing, so that's cool. Now we go from here to here, to here, to here. Okay, so something, we broke something. I managed to break something. All right. How did I manage to break it? I really don't know, actually. Oh, no, I managed to, okay. We managed to break something. I don't know if you guys saw it in there. There we go. We managed to get both maps loaded up at the same time. Or is it because I never fixed the salt course? No, it's fixed. You know what's funny? The stuff I'm doing right now is what game testers do, like all day. They just sit there and try to break stuff. I think I forgot to change one name. I may have. I thought I fixed it, but I may not have. Assault course, assault course, assault course, shooting gallery, shooting gallery, shooting gallery. No, I have a feeling it's got to do with this right here. When I'm hovering over something, okay, let's think through this logically. Nothing is selected. I hover. I don't have anything, no timer going, so I'm going to go ahead and fade it in. Fade in basically fades it in over the half a second. Now the problem here is if something is currently being faded in right here, then I go back and tell it to fade in again. It's now basically going to fade it in again, and we might end up in kind of like a loop. We probably don't want, yeah. So let's, yeah, so here's what we want to do. Let's see if we can fix this. Is animating background level. Asterisk is fading in. Robust names aren't necessarily the best. Okay, so. So basically when our fade is going, we're not preventing another fade from happening. And I should not be able to delay in here, right? Yeah, because we put this into a function. Like that. And then set timer by function name. Done fading in. And we determined that was half a second. The nice thing is we can change these and link them together. Copy that out. We'll go back to our event graph. We'll go down here. That one's hide background image, custom event, and fading in. Of course, I copy pasted it to be safe. There we go. And all this one's going to do is set done fading into false. Okay. So if we are fading in, then all we have to do is just do some checks and make sure we don't actually do anything because we're already fading in. Hello, Zendor. So we'll do an if check. If we are fading in, you know what, let's change this to a not just so I can use the true node. I like using the true node because it goes cleaner like that. Okay, so let's copy this out like this. We'll do something like that. If we're not fading in, then we don't want to fade in again. Yeah, I think oh crap. I think this is gonna break. If I start hovering on here, for example, and then I oh crap. See, I get the desired result where it'll fade. It has to fade out the whole way, but that's the problem I run into right there. If I'm quick enough, that'll happen. Yeah, crap. Okay. Basically, this is an example, and this went way past the 5 minutes, so I think I'm just going to call it here shortly and call bait. But you know what, honestly, you know what? I think I'm going to call this is good enough. I mean, this is a prototype. This is something that should be fixed once you actually start bug fixing things. Yeah, this is not something that I should be spending a lot of time on. You should be trying to get stuff working. I mean, for us, for the most part, I mean, it works. I mean, we're getting a desired result. We have each map fading in or out properly. As long as we're not crazy and start doing I don't know what I did like that to cause it, we're fine. So I'm going to leave it as is. This is kind of one of those issues where we don't have a state. We ran into this issue when we were doing the different weapon types. If it was not weapon types, weapon states. If the weapon was reloading, was the weapon firing, was weapon jammed, that type of stuff. We were enabling the gun to become exist in multiple states at the same time, when in practice, in reality, it doesn't happen. So I would honestly need to spend a little bit of time, just rework this, put in a state where it's basically, are we fading in, are we fading out, prevent the appropriate other actions from happening or not happening, store the appropriate desired result. For example, if we're currently fading out and we hover over something else, then we store it, and that's technically what we do here. But we're using this to check. We're using a timer to check instead of a state. But we also want to do the same thing. If we are fading in and we mouse over something else, we technically want to store that value and then like queue up another fade type system. But for now it works. This is better than before. I mean, most people aren't going to just screw around with it. You're going to come in, here's your shooting gallery, here's your assault course. You know, you're going to get the desired result that I want, for example. I'm happy with this. We got other things to do. So we're going to consider that working oakley dokley. Not perfect, but oakley dokley. So we need to work on a score system and a UI for the shooting gallery game mode. So we can close our main menu and we can go into our game mode, and here's our shooting gallery game mode. And let's open up our shooting gallery map. And if we recall, we have our character, and I can trigger our shooting gallery. Stuff will pop up, they have life, they'll go away, they'll get destroyed. So what we need to do is we need to set up the way well, first of all, we need a proper UI. So right now we're using the existing UI in the controller, and if you look in the top left, we can see a score. And then when we pick up the weapon, you know, the weapon works fine for our UI. So the question is, do we move the score completely into the game mode, or do we keep it in the controller? My personal opinion is I'm going to move this to the game mode. I know this is going to cause a problem in the future. I'm already aware of this if I move into multiplayer next year, but that's fine. I'm not creating this for the future. I'm creating this for now to get something working. So I want to do all the pitfalls and all the mistakes that may happen. By moving this into the game mode, since we have different game modes for each of our types, we're going to have a shooting gallery game mode and an assault mode game mode, then my interface can look different, my points can be different, I could basically handle things differently. My targets or my interaction events, for example, I hit this target, therefore this target's going to tell the game mode it increment score, increase score, and give it a value, and then the game mode's going to do whatever it wants with it. It allows me to create things uniquely. For example, I could have a score streak. If you don't miss after a certain amount of time, you'll have a score streak. And by putting this in the game mode, then it allows me to have that score streak be unique only to the specific game mode rather than something in general. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And Stefan asks, can we have auto drive or auto ride like in Witcher 3 when you get on the horse and you ride automatically from one location to another in the new series 2017? Yeah, and yes, The Witcher 3 is what it is, and it's one of the first games where auto drive, I guess would be the right way, but it's auto ride in that one. As long as it's Harry, if you are on any of the main roads and you turn on the go button on the horse, basically, and don't touch the control pad, your horse will auto ride on the road and follow the path of the road automatically. It actually teaches you that in the intro to the game. When you need to start galloping, it tells you just leave it alone and you start following your friend into the main area, the first town. I thought it was pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. It doesn't seem like it would be hard to do. I can't think of the easiest way to do it off the top of my head. I mean, you'd have some sort of a boundary, maybe, or a defined area, and then you go from. Crap. Let's see. I mean, it. If you think about it this way, if you were to create AI in your game and your AI was designed to follow a path, it's going to have to know about a path. Yeah. What Harry is getting at basically right here. It's AI navigation taking over. And that seems like it would be the smartest and easiest way of doing that. If you've got AI in your system and your AI is taught to move from point A to point B, for example, that's all you're doing. You basically have the AI take over for your player and then let it, or technically for the horse in this case, and then let it auto-navigate from point A to point B. It seems like it wouldn't be too hard to do if we think about it that way. If we think about it for AI navigation, I think that would be kind of cool. I wonder if we could do that next year. That would be kind of cool. Oops, these are supposed to be yellow because I'm working on those, or green. Let's see. Auto navigation. Auto navigation for players. Let's try this. We'll call it that. How can we use some form of auto navigation using the AI system? Navigation using the AI system to allow our player to control a mount, and when in the correct areas, have the mount auto ride move. Auto ride or move, yeah, go with that. Yeah. Well, you have to keep in mind though, Harry, you're probably going to have nav meshes anywhere you want a enemy to go in the first place. Like, for example, you're off the road, you're going to have nav meshes that are your oh, for the love of God, where your enemies can travel. Auto dynamic system on YouTube. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put that on here, and I'll look into it. Audio auto dynamic system on YouTube. Okay, I'll check that out. That sounds like fun. It definitely seems like it's not too hard if you think, because you can swap things from time easy enough. So you could easily swap in an AI or not AI. You could even tell it to use the nav mesh even when you're controlling it. Yeah. Hello, Crier. I think that'd be kind of cool to try. I also just ran into an issue here, and I'm trying to think about how we want to do this. We have our interface, and we have our damageable interface. If this can handle being damaged, we're going to want an interface back to our game mode, is my thought. And then our game mode's basically going to handle, we'll just update score. Yeah, you know what, we'll just do that. So do we have a game mode? Yeah, so we have our generic game mode here. This is our interface for our FPS game mode, which is our older one. Let's go ahead and rename this while we're here, so that way we know it's an updated one. Blueprint interface, FPS game mode. Blueprint interface, FPS game mode. Okay, so we know this is our parent game mode blueprint interface. Now we're going to want all of our game modes to handle, this is all old stuff, which I can get rid of at some point. We'll figure it out. Damn, that's a good question. You know what? I made a mistake on this one. I should not have renamed it. Damn it. Okay, let's not rename this. We are going to make sure that we are keeping our legacy code in here from our first one. And then we're going to create new game modes not game modes, interfaces, so that we know they're updated for our newer project. So this is the proper one. So even though they're going to look very similar, let's see, FPS dash game mode. Okay. So this is going to be our proper game mode interface. This is the one we're going to use for our new system. So we technically need to, we're going to break something yet again, because apparently I like breaking stuff. Right now this is our old one. Add target, remove target, and handle game start. These are ones we're not utilizing anymore. This is our older interface events. However, we are using play sound. So what we need to do is duplicate play sound inside of our new game mode here. So that way we can switch it over to our new game mode. So let's duplicate this. We're going to have sound. I already know stuff's going to break, but you know what? We'll fix it. That is the point of this. Refactoring code is a everyday part of programming, and properly using a game design document, which we did not do, is a very important part of game development. So we definitely should have created a game development document at one point. I didn't, but we should have. So this is going to break right now, and we'll switch it over to our new game mode. Assuming I named it properly right here. BPS, FPS, everything. And then now we're going to have errors because we have a duplicate node. And of course, that's pretty cool. Look at that. Found more than one function with the same name. Second occurrence at none. So that's pretty helpful, don't you think? I don't think it is, actually. I think that's actually the opposite of what we would consider helpful. Okay. So that should actually fix itself. Let's see what if we broke our sounds, shall we? Yeah, we've managed to break our sounds completely. Which is perfectly fine. Not even an issue. I think it might only be... Nope, we managed to break... Did we literally manage to break all of our sounds? Like, all of them? Huh. I did manage to break all my sounds. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna give that one a +1 to the awesome scale. We have our play sound is not being triggered. Okay. So more than likely we need to find our data, weapon object. You know what? Oh, it is. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, there's something new you learn every day. Control F, which is the Windows find hotkey, actually works inside of the blueprint. I was not aware Control F worked. That is freaking awesome. There we go. And this is probably using the wrong game mode. Yeah, that's what I figured. So we need to kill that one. Play sound. And this will be the blueprint interface version, not the FPS blueprint interface version. Boop. This stuff up here, and then in theory we're not passing around the location, so we're good there. Okay, let's try this again. Also, just as a small hint, if you are going to test sound, it would probably be smart to have your computer not muted so you can actually test the sound. That would probably be a small help. Well, and so I'm pretty sure it's going to work now that I have the node. I had the node debugged, but there we go. Yeah, it does help that your sound is actually turned on to hear the sound when you're testing. Anyways, we fixed it. Let's see, and I see someone chatting, and I think he has a good point. Let's see, Crier. Yep, refactoring code is a mess in blueprints. I agree, it definitely can be. Another +1 for design doc. And deleting an old interface and interface functions so stuff fails on compile. Yep, that's probably the smarter way of doing it. Deleting the, which I agree completely. Deleting the old interface so everything fails and then creating a new interface is smarter. But because we're basically upgrading an older project to a new one, I want to make sure all the legacy code stays there for reference purposes, just because this is the way we're doing this example. This is not intended to be the best way of doing it. This is intended on making stuff work, and then we slowly iterate into a better program. So hopefully, if we've done everything properly, we'll be able to, once we finish the prototype and we get to the cleanup step, we'll be able to actually delete all of our old code and project files and all that stuff, and nothing will break. That's our goal. So far, if anyone's been paying attention, our goals generally never tend to actually work right the first time. So let's find our game mode. Framework, shooting gallery game mode. So yeah, what I was the entire point of all of this was to switch over to the new blueprint interface. If I can figure out where I put the blueprint interface, under interfaces, of course. And then now we can have a parent interface event. Now also bool. Okay, so you add a return bool to every interface. Oh, so it docks in the functions tab. Oh, and has local scope. Yeah, I gotcha. No, I saw that. I was actually confused by what you were meant by that until I realized I actually read it, because it helps if you read. Yeah, so that way it actually becomes a function over on the left rather than having to be an event. Yep, that is a good point. We do that on some of them. I don't see the point of doing it to everything, though. Is there an Crier? What's the advantage? For example, here's my play sound event right here. Its intention is just to tell the game mode to play a sound. That's it. What advantage would we have if we turn this into a function? We added the bool on the return, and it became a function over here rather than a custom event. My negative that I can see about that personally is if you do that, you can't use the delay. Because it becomes a function, you can no longer give it a delay. I don't have a choice. I could always take this event and have it link up to a local function. That would be fine. But in terms of actually forcing the event to be a function. Oh, having local variables. Gotcha. Yeah, that for cleaning up, that would make sense. And to be honest, if I was worried about that, I would do the way I'm doing it, leave it like this, and then just make a custom event. This could be local play sound, and have not a custom event. You know what I meant. Local play sound, and then you could just simply hook that up like that. Then you're going to end up getting the same end result. Technically, you just have one extra node, your caller right here. But now I'm not forced to have to use a function, and I can use delays, because you got to keep that in mind. You can't use delays in timelines if it's in the function. But if you're not going to worry about that, then yeah, I could see how that could have an advantage. Local variables are definitely helpful. See, it makes a lot of sense. So we need a new interface event. And this one is going to be talking to the game mode until. So we're going to have this one, and this is going to be called. I was trying to think of the name. I keep forgetting. Handle update score. So this is going to tell our game mode to handle updating the score. And so this is named wrong, so I'm going to rename this. Because technically this won't be handle updating the score. This will be handle adding score. And I want to make sure that is a distinction. because all we're going to do is pass in a value, which is our new score, or the additional score value. Yeah. And we'll have our game mode keep track of score. So what are we going to call this? This is the player score, is what we're going to go with. I have no idea why I'm putting this into a float, but I can easily just truncate if down to an int for display purposes. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with handle add score. Okay. So let's compile so we get the new interface event, handle add score, which is here. There we go. We got our nice little interface event message here. And we're going to do something really simple and stupid here, and we're just going to get and add, and we're just going to make sure stuff works. Because I don't see the point of going through half an hour of coding before you even test to see if it works. Down here, add our value, add our value. Okay. So in theory, all we're going to do is update the player score. And then we'll just do some nice debugging, and we'll print out the player score. We just want something working, that's all we want now. Okay, that should be super simple. Here it is for now, clean the code. And our game mode set up. So our game mode should be now set up to handle the player score. So it should be pretty simple. Now if we go back to our character and we go back to our controller, right now we have our controller creating the HUD. And we're going to change this. We are no longer going to have our controller control the HUD for the score. We're going to have the game mode control the HUD for the score. That will give us the most amount of unique ability, so we can reuse the controller. However, the HUD can change based on our game mode, because our assault game mode is going to have a timer, whereas our shooting gallery isn't going to. We may have a round display or something like that. So this stuff inside of our controller, for the most part, we don't need this anymore, and we don't need this anymore, and I'm going to keep this stuff. This is old legacy code. You know what, I should probably comment this. Code not using now, because technically we don't have a stamina display, and we don't have a, we're not using sprinting. We're probably going to change that later. Let's put a to-do in there, that way we can find it later and fix it. But the nice thing you'll notice is we don't have a stamina display, but our controller still has an event for handling it. But because we're using interfaces, we're not really going to fail or have any big errors. We can go ahead and just refactor stuff without an issue. Obviously I have problems in here, which we're going to work on. Okay, so here's our set stamina display, which targets the HUD, which targets the HUD widget, which we're not creating anymore. So technically this is bad now. So we'll compile that one out. Okay, no more errors. That was our point. We're changing code right now. We're refactoring stuff. You know, we'll go through and fix things. But what matters is we no longer have a HUD for our score. That's what I cared about. We should have our gun interface, which is coupled to our character and our gun, but we should have no score interface. So let's handle on our game. We have our handle game start, we have remove target, we have add target. This is old legacy code, which we don't need anymore. So we're going to, well, So this is legacy code that I put in there from the MVP project. In theory, we might be reusing this code. Especially like the remove target one. Let's go ahead and just legacy code this. I don't think I'll be using any of this, but let's just keep it in there as legacy code. We'll do that. Okay. Let's see. So in here, in our game mode, we have our add score event. I'm literally confused on what I was doing. Oh, I don't have an interface. Okay, so we need to create a new interface. That's what I was in the middle of doing. This is our HUD right here. So let's rename our HUD. Is our HUD appropriate? Let's see. We have our main menu widget. That's appropriate. We have our player's UI. So this is going to be the player's ammo and the weapon stuff. So this is the UI for the player. So that sounds appropriate. We have our loadout slot for our weapon. So that's appropriate. Then we have our game over screen, which technically we're not using anymore. We have our crosshair, which for some reason I simply created a widget just with the crosshair, which I might consider is really weird, but that's what I did. And then we have a widget called HUD. Would that be an appropriate name for something that has a score? And then maybe, yeah, probably, because it's technically a HUD is a heads-up display. It's meant to display information. We're not binding this to anything particular. I mean, technically our game mode. Okay, so here's a question. Let's see if anyone has personal opinions on this one. We have a player UI. The player's UI is the UI that's bound to the player, and it displays the player unique things. Crosshair, ammo information, weapon information. We have the main menu UI. This is stuff that is for the main menu. Now, this third one here is going to control things such as our score and the number of rounds you might have left, the number of time you might have left on the assault course, maybe a pop-up display of if you hit a target properly or not. No, just information relating to the game mode. Should we call it the HUD, or should we link it to the game mode because it's going to be specific to the game mode? So, for example, make a new widget and call it Widget Blueprint Assault Mode and Widget Blueprint Shooting Gallery. I'm leaning towards that second one now that I'm talking about it. I've noticed I end up getting most of my personal answers once I talk about it because then I realize what does and doesn't work. That's what I'm going to go with now unless someone else has a good idea. So I'm thinking like Widget Blue Mode Shooting Gallery. So this will be the widget blueprint unique to the shooting gallery. Or maybe shooting gallery HUD? This is the widget blueprint for the shooting gallery HUD. Stefan, grass dynamic system is an idea for a project. When you see it on YouTube, you know. Do we mean something like a grass deformation system where when you walk, the grass bends around you? Or something else? Let's see. We're going to go with, how are we going to do this one? What about prominent? I'm going to go with a vertical box. I'm going to get rid of my canvas panel. I'm going to go with a vertical box. I'm going to go with a text in the vertical box. Text being in the middle at the top. And then I'm going to go with a text underneath that one. In the middle at the top. Grass burns when you throw fire on it. Shouldn't be that hard, honestly. Materials, you have the physics material properties that help, that you can define basically what something is made out of. So you could always have a material called like flammable or something like that, and a physics material called flammable, apply that to the grass material that you're using for the display, and then you can have something happen. You can drive a fire effect on the material through parameters based on when you throw your fire or whatever, it reacts with whatever it hits, checks the material type, the physics material type. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard. I love when you guys ask the weird stuff like this because it always sounds like it would be fun to do. So let's like dynamic. I know you have a grass dynamic system, but there would be a better name for this. Let's try dynamic material effects system, and then we'll put in words what you said. We'll go with that. When you throw fire on grass, the grass gets burns. Can use the physics material system along with material parameters to adjust the material in field. It's what a YouTube video is called. Grass dynamic system. Okay, well let's see what that looks like. Let's find the YouTube. YouTube.com. Well, I'm guessing the fact that it doesn't. Oh, it's a marketplace item too. Okay, I want to say it doesn't actually show how it's done. Let's see. Fire. So that effect is really simple. The interaction effect is really simple. There was a really cool video I was watching on it. It's super simple to do, except for him actually doing stuff to the meshes. That's pretty cool. I know the basics of material deformation and like making things move when you're around you. And then wind isn't an issue. Fire propagation based on your system shouldn't be an issue. You have a wind direction, so you can make the fire move in a certain direction. But I don't know how he's actually burning the grass, because I have not messed with stuff like this very easily. Unless it's just a bunch of instance dynamic materials. Not dynamic materials. Oh, what's the stupid thing called when you have instinct static meshes? No. I gotta admit, this is pretty cool. You can't use like the new render texture stuff because I don't think that'll work with items. I gotta admit, this is pretty cool. Let me grab this. I actually think that would be a lot of fun to try to do. I'm not gonna argue with that one. Yeah. Stuff like that, where it's growing, isn't an issue. All you're doing is adjusting the meshes, not the meshes, the materials parameters. So that's not an issue. I've done that. I've done different moving items, so that's not an issue. Nope, this is pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool idea. Learning to do something like this, I think, would make a fun little project if I can figure out how to close this. There we go. So cool. Nope. Any ideas? Anything people would like to see? Anything that would be cool that we could work on and try to learn new systems or techniques, or at least create stuff that everyone can use? I think would be kind of cool. Do you have a video explaining how to generate a random infinite world? No, technically I don't. I have a video explaining how to do kind of like an infinite, sort of random, dungeon-ish roomy thing. Basically, you have 5 predetermined built rooms, and then it has doors on various parts of the room, and then it connects other rooms to those doors. So basically, you're building a dungeon as you walk through it, and it just fills out the things around you. That's in there, in somewhere. I don't know where that's at. Man, I always forget what I call stuff. Let's see. Photos. That would be a... random rooms using streaming levels in Unreal Engine 4. There's a short video plus example project for this.
Have we?
Yeah, I already
we don't want to keep
that. Basically,
run through it, and then we'll explain it.
So you walk
Ignore
through
all the awesome programmer art because, well, it's awesome.
And apparently I paused it. Yeah.
So
you have different rooms that it attaches, and as you go through the levels,
you can currently see what rooms are loaded.
It will
room start and room
connect
4.
rooms to each of these doors.
Room start right here, which is our default one.
Of course, in my video, yeah. See, so you have different doors you can go through. Different rooms attach themselves. So like there's rooms attached to there. You'll go through, and it will attach more rooms as you go through. So I have an example like this, and that's pretty simple. You're basically using streaming levels to fill out the area around you. This is an older project. It was before they had the ability to create instanced versions of it. All I was doing was basically moving things around the player. So if you'll notice, rooms basically pop in and out around the player is how it works. That's why you're only allowed to, the doors close behind you and then rooms reposition. So if you've ever actually watched the movie Cube, it kind of works like that, where everything changes around you as you're going through scenes.
Let's get an overview of
this is a method of doing it. Instanced streaming levels is a way to create full copies of a level. So for example, a room. If you're talking about something more along the type of Minecraft, where it's a random infinite world like that, like it's a open world, like Minecraft, then no, I have nothing about that. That it actually requires a lot of processing power, and it's beyond the scope of blueprints for the most part. There are a bunch of people that generally hang out and tried to do that in blueprints, and they end up getting stuck at a certain point. So yeah, so if the first one is an example of what you're looking at, I've done a video on it. If the second one, the Minecraft, is an example, I have not. That is beyond my ability right now, because to do it properly you need to use C++, and I'm just not doing C++ right now for Unreal Engine. Stefan, Unreal Engine 4 water caustics. Some cool things for water realistics. I've seen that stuff. That's not too much of an issue. I can think about that. That's not... let me see how difficult it is first. Ground, objects, water. Yeah, that's not something that should be too difficult. It's a lot of just projection and then movement, so it looks kind of like it's not a projected texture on something. It looks like it's more of an actual realistic effect. I'll look into that. That's definitely something that would be kind of cool. Right now I need to get... I need to figure out where the hell I was at. I need to get some sort of scoring stuff working right now. We make a new video explaining how to generate a random castle dungeon. Technically, Zendor, if you go to that video I showed about the streaming levels, where is your streaming? Let's see. Random endless levels with endless streaming. If you were to take a look at that video and grab the example project, and you go through here, you'll find that it basically does this right here. Load stream level. It's just kind of cool and right to the right spot. Pause, please. Thank you. In one of the later versions of Unreal Engine, they added in instant stream level. Instant stream level. What's it called? Hold on a second. Instance. Load level instance. Here we go. This basically, instead of loads into memory and unloads a level from memory, so a map like I do in the example project, this creates a whole nother version. Basically, it copies the original one and makes a version of it into memory. Doing something like this, and you can see you get a location or rotation when it comes in, and then outputs the return value of it. This, you could create 20, 30 rooms for your dungeon, your set pieces. And then this will allow you to create those set pieces and put them somewhere. So all you would do is generate out. You would create a room, for example. Like let's say I have piece A, which is let's. I'd love to be. You know what? Let me try explaining this, and then let me add it to my list because I think it would be a great update to my existing video. But if you can see this grid I have here, let's say this one little block right here is one of our rooms, and it can exit that way and that way. All you do is spawn in your room, creating an instance, determine where your exits are, spawn in another room at that exit using your create the instance version node I just showed you, and it just have it randomly pick one that can be appropriate, and then check for any exits, spawn another room, and just spawn your dungeon whatever depth you want. You can run into issues with backtracking, dead ends, and things like that, but with some clever, cheesy coding, such as only spawn from this pool, or only spawn these ones, or only spawn ones that only have so many exits, you can create very easily good enough looking dungeons. Now there are dungeon generators out there that'll do these better, and that uses actual real math, which is where I said faking it comes into play. I think it would be kind of cool to do. I'm going to add that to my list down here on the other thing. So let's see. So let's go with like a random dungeon generator. Let's see. Can we make a random dungeon generator using some pre-built rooms and using the new, what the hell was that node called? Level streaming. Load level instance. Do load level instance. That one actually sounds like it would be fun. I want to try now that some of the stuff's changed in terms of my videos for 2017, and hopefully I'll have more time to do some more in-depth stuff like this. Rather than just the streaming, I'll be able to do more of the in-depth blueprint stuff, especially with multiplayer coming out, the pre-recorded videos. One thing I want to do is I've been enjoying the project, this MVP, this prototype project, basically taking a week or two or three or however long it takes, not taking forever, but basically working on something semi-steadily over the course of a month or less and producing something tangible. So this prototype project I've been working on here for the FPS, I've been wanting to maybe do something like that with the other genres, and I personally love role-playing games. So doing something like this, making a random dungeon generator on the live streams over, a month, I think would be kind of cool. Because then we could implement systems, take feedback, implement systems, take feedback, and then try to aim for a month to get a unique project done. And maybe aim for, like, once a month on the live streams, we just aim for a really cool project. I think that would be fun. It would allow us to explore a lot of different things and create different things, and people can watch the process as we go through it. Hello, JP3D. So that's what I'm thinking. I think that would be kind of cool. So thank you for the suggestion, Zendor. I put on my list. I think it would be a lot of fun. Yes. What is this? This is going to be the score text block, and this is going to be the round number text. Oh, we'll go with round number text block. Number's too long. And let's put this at 42. And let's put this one at 36 and light. So we're going to go with that for our look. Make sure these are variables. This should be pretty simple. We're going to have 2 custom events, which we're going to need inside of our interface. So this is a shooting gallery HUD is what this one's going to be. I'm going to do a generic. I'm going to reuse an interface among multiple game modes to show. Oh, crap. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try something semi-different. So blueprint interface, and this will be the game modes HUD. So we're going to call this the game modes HUD instead of the individual one. And this interface is going to cover all the different game mode possibilities. So for example, we can have, update score, and we can have update timer, which we won't use in this one, but we'll use in another one. Update we're going to call this one update info text, and this one will contain now we'll call this one update screw it, update round. Update round. Yeah, we'll call it update round. I'm thinking of ahead of something. We're just going to keep it like this. We're going to take a text, and we'll call this a new text. And this one will be the new text, and this one will be the new text. I have a feeling some of these are going to be bad. I'm going to probably reapproach these here shortly, but I want to at least get the code in here for our score. JP3D, we have been working over the last 2 weeks of updating our minimum viable project for an FPS into a prototype for an FPS. We've added in a weapon system. Now we're working on a shooting gallery game mode. Right now I'm working on getting the score system HUD working. Don't forget, because I was about to forget, let's add our interface for our game modes, because that would have been funny. And, okay, so this one's going to be called, what do we call it? Update score, right? Because we're going to work on just the score. That's the wrong one. Let's try this again. Event update score with our little communication icon. That's what we wanted. Grab our score text block. Grab our score text block and set text on it. And in theory, and this is where I said I think I'm going to have to refactor this. I want to see how I personally want to do this. But for now, we're just simply going to pass in a straight text value from our game mode. And our game mode itself, right here. Okay, so this is our event. So we're going to add another custom event in our game mode. And this was going to be, this is why I wanted to, I didn't want to name this handle update score. This event handles adding to the score. This event is going to handle updating the score. So if we need to flash it, or if we need to update our user interface. So for example, now on this one, now I'll get our game mode, and we will update score. Send a message. And this is where my question came in that I was curious about. And hello, Alex M. My question is, we're going to want our score formatted in some way. So if we go into here, this is my score text block. I'm going to want it to be something like score like this. Let's say, for example, do I want this interface to handle the display? Or do I want the game mode to handle the display? And I've already answered my question. Because my interfaces may be different, this is not going to work. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be the new value, and this is going to be a float, because we're going to pass along our, where did my float go? There it is. Yeah. Yeah. And then this is broken, which is exactly what we want, because we're going to want this to be what we want. So, this is a cool node, by the way. If you haven't used, most people haven't used it. Format text. Let's break this. Actually, not here. Let me hook this up and let me go over that node, because it's a really cool node. Okay. So all we're gonna do is tell our HUD to update the score, and we're gonna pass the player score. And we can do that, Stefan. That's definitely something we can do. Okay. So one way of doing this is we have our set text here, and we take this in, we plug it out, and we're going to get this out here, right? And this is just, if we were to run this, all we're going to end up getting is like a 0 at the top of the screen, or whatever our number is. But we want to say score, colon, space, and a bunch of stuff. So another way of doing it is you have your string append, and this is where you would take, for example, your score, and you do something like, you know, score colon space and then this, and it's basically going to append our value onto the word score and then output that as our text. It would probably be smart. Do I even have a note in here? I don't. Give me a second. It'd probably be helpful if I showed you what I'm talking about here. Just to show you what I'm talking about here. And then let's find our game mode, and our game mode has the begin play. And we're going to we're going to custom event function this one, because I like putting this stuff in functions. And we're going to create HUD inside of our game mode, and then our game mode is going to grab the HUD that's appropriate for the game mode. So the nice thing is we can set, can we set this, or we have to set this internally? Yeah, you know, we'll make this work. We'll make this work. Game mode HUD. Oh, wait, we'll make this work. Which is going to be a user widget. I'm trying to make this expandable for what we plan on doing. I kind of jumped ahead of myself. Like, oh yeah, it needs to be the class. Okay, so we need to change this from here. And we need the user widget, and then we need the class version of it, not the reference version. There we go. Okay, and then add to viewport. Okay, so what this should do is it should simply create our HUD based on whatever class we've told it to create. And since this is an inherited variable, our children game mode, so our shooting gallery game mode, should be able to adjust this. And then all we're going to do here is create the HUD on begin play. Now I don't expect anything to work right now, which is fine. That's what I want. Okay, good. And an error, probably because we have no default game mode, right? Yep, we have nothing assigned to that. Let's let's put in a nice little is valid check here, basically, which I can't do an is valid check because of the fact we don't have can't is valid a class. But basically, we're going to check and see if our game mode HUD is equal to nothing. If it is equal to nothing, we're not going to create our HUD. If it is equal to something, we're going to create our HUD. Now it should give us no error. So that's all we were doing, was fixing our error. Okay. Now we'll go back into our shooting gallery game mode. Find that. And now we should have the game mode HUD here. We're going to go ahead and set this up to our, what do we call that, a shooting gallery HUD? There we go. Now we'll hit play. There we go. Now we have values at the top of the screen. Now we have score 100.0, and so that's good. And the nice thing is, for example, if I had a different game mode in, when we make our new game mode, for our assault gallery, for example, all I'll have to do is just define the value, and it'll create it automatically. So what I was trying to point out and failing miserably here is what we have here is when I pass in my score, if I use an append node, we're going to go ahead and you're going to see what we have here, score colon 100.0. Now the format text node, this allows you to basically create your own node that's dynamic, and it's pretty trippy. Let me see if I remember this right. So if we do score colon space, and then I do the curly brace, I call it like new score, and I close it, it adds in a wildcard underneath here for new score. So now I can plug the new score into there, and plug this directly into our output. We'll hit play, and you'll see our new value, score 100. Now you notice a couple different things here. It basically filled in with down here, so we could even have like new score space, you know, blah, and when you do that, it basically creates in these new little nodes here. your input nodes. And of course, if you erase it, we're going to go ahead and get that like that. So I can take these nodes, these 3 nodes, and convert it into one node, like that, by using the format text. And you'll notice you have little variables in here, and you can rearrange them if you want. So for example, if we did new score, this is stupid, but I'm just showing you for examples here. Old score, now we have multiple arguments, and you can even rearrange them just like you would anything else. You can get rid of stuff here. So it's format text is a really cool little node, but of course it's you're only formatting text. Alex, what does the isValid node do? Well, the isValid node has 2 different versions. We have the isValid function version, and then we have the isValid macro version, I guess would be the way of putting it. Event version, I don't know, but anyways, this is actually really stupid that I'm doing it in here, considering I have some in here. There we go. So we're gonna go right here. So here's an isValid node. If we do, basically I use this as a way of checking to see if something is good. So for example, I get our current weapon and I check to see if it's valid. If we have a current weapon, this will be a valid object. If I don't have a current weapon, it's going to be a null or an invalid object. So I can easily go, okay, well, do we have a current weapon? If so, then do this. So it's a good way of validating to make sure the stuff that you're doing is good or not. So for this case, if I hit the V button, which changes my firing mode, I only want to change the firing mode if I actually have a valid weapon. If I, for example, didn't have a valid weapon, I have no weapon equipped, then the V mode should do nothing. So I could do an if check, for example, but by doing it like this, it basically is an easy way of not using an if check. So, you know, like, if I have a current weapon equipped, then do this. Or I could simply go, is current weapon valid? It's an actual object, and I use an invalid node. It's a way of kind of doing an if check, but on an actual thing rather than on a value. So rather than going, okay, I have a variable, and the variable is called I have a weapon equipped. Rather than saying, okay, set I have a weapon equipped when I pick one up, just simply check, do I have a current weapon picked up? If I do, then it's valid. If not, then it's invalid. Dean Rocket, countdown timer example. So basically counting down a timer. I think I did one of those already, actually. I think I did an adjustable timer. Let me check my playground before I go back to what I'm doing. But countdown timers aren't hard. It shouldn't be an issue. Like if a character spawned in a world. Actually, that is a very good one right there. Check this out. Whoops. So let me go back to here. So we have get player controller. This is our player's controller. Now let's say your player died. Well, get player character, or the smarter one would be get controlled on. This tells you what we're currently controlling. If we do a valid check on this, we can tell whether or not we actually have a player that's alive in our world. If we have a player that we're currently controlling and it's alive, then it's valid. If not, it's invalid. So for example, if your player's running around, he blows up, this will tell you whether or not you actually still have a valid player or not. And yes, Harry is correct. Technically, it's checking whether a reference is pointing to a valid, usable object, and not to a null or something scheduled for deletion. Because there is technically pending destroy, which is really friggin' annoying, by the way, because I can't get it to work right properly. But there is a, technically something could be in a destroyed, not destroyed state if it's in the same frame. So this does kind of check to see right here and is valid, and this checks not null and not pending kill. But yeah, this would be a really good use to tell whether or not you actually have your player that you're controlling is in the world or not anymore. Okay, back to my playground. I thought I did a timer for somebody for something. Is a trigger. Oh, self-contained. Oh, here we go. Self-contained counter. I think this goes up instead of down. Let's see. Yeah. So I have a counter that goes up right here, Dean. So you basically want the opposite, which shouldn't be too hard of an issue. And it's basically all contained inside this blueprint right here. And all we're doing is adding 1 second. I don't want to adjust this, but let me run through. Okay, you know what? There, let's see if we can. Crap, I had a lot of friggin' work already put into this one. Here, let's try something else. Let's try blueprint class actor BP count. I'm not going to do a fancy interface for this one, but we should be able to pretty simple. If you want something that counts down in seconds, it should be really simple. We're going to do a begin play on this one, and we're going to do a set a timer by function name. And this is just here because I got ahead of myself. We're going to make a new variable called start time. We're going to make this a float. And we're going to expose it because I want to make this exposable. And let's set it to, let's say, 1. Crap, this is stupid. Oh, I need to do a. Oh, for fuck's sake, it needs to be a date time. It needs to be a time span technically. Okay, bear with me here. Okay, so in theory, that's a minute timer right there. So, I'm kind of literally thinking about how to do this right now. Every second, we're going to check on this, and we're going to call this remove second from timer, because that's an appropriate name. Make a custom event, and bear with me, Dean. I will cover literally exactly what I'm doing once my brain finishes implementing this. We'll grab our start time. What we're going to do is add a time span. Yep, here we go. And then break this apart. And we're going to add -1 second. I'm pretty sure this will work. I have not done this before, but that's what's all we're going to find out. We're going to set it to here, like that. And in theory, we should remove a second. And then I'm going to steal this code because we know this code works. I'm going to put this here. So in theory, this code should, let's print this out. And then find our start time. And then can we format this? Let's find out. Here we go. I have no clue what this is going to do, but let's find out. In theory, I think this will, if I actually put it in my scene here, let's put it the start of a new scene. That way we're not using stuff that we're already, I already did start a new scene. Duh. Okay, so let's see. There we go. So in the top left corner, we can see our countdown timer working. You can actually see it's counting down. Every second it's going to go ahead and remove a second from our time span, and then it's going to count down. And then you would basically want something like if, and then I'm just moving stuff out of the way so I get a little more room to play with here. We'll grab our start time, and then we will less than or equal to another time span. We'll split this out because we want it to be zeros all the way around. We'll do an if, and we'll unhook this to false, and if it's true, print string. We done. Timer elapsed. We'll just go with timer elapsed. And set timer by function name. We'll never call again. So technically, this should be self-contained. Let's set our yeah. This is self-contained. So let's grab our little blueprint here. Let's find its time. Let's set to something a little more easier to stand. So we're going to set it to 6 seconds. We're going to hit play. It should count down. And then when it hits 0, it should say we done. Or timer elapsed. There you go. Okay, so that's a whole lot of code. Let's cover the code. Technically, this is the only code right here. Actually, this is the only code. So, crap. Technically, it's like recursion here. This code is called by this, but this code can't call it unless you have this. Let's look at it. This doesn't have to be in its own blueprint. I simply put it in its own blueprint so that way I could drop it into the scene and then have it do easy whatever I want. But you have one variable called start time, and that start time is a variable type time span. Time spans are variables that contain internally a day, an hour, a minute, a second, and a millisecond variable. It's a structure basically that contains these integers. And as you can see in here, my default start time is 1 minute, but you can do whatever you want. You have hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. And then technically you have days, but I don't know how the hell you set that in here. But we don't care about that. You're talking about something reasonable, not days. When our event is called here, which is removed second, or let's call it remove a second. Actually, let's call it subtract, because let's be honest, we're subtracting. Subtract a second from timer. What it does is grabs the current time. We are then adding, if we go to the right here, another time span to it. That's this node right here. That's the only way I can figure out how to adjust time spans, because if you pull out a time span here and we went to time span, you can get the individual values, but you can't set the individual values. You can only get them. And I just realized that there was a minus node. I just noticed there's a minus node right here. That's funny. Anyways, let's technically both of these would work. Oh no. Well, what is this taking in? Oh, a date time. Yeah, see that is that why there was, I couldn't find the minus before? No, minus time span, minus time span. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so basically what I was doing was adding minus 1 second, but I didn't realize there was a negative node in there, and you could always just subtract 1 second. This is the same exact thing. Adding -1 or minusing 1 gives you the same result. So we take that value and then we set the start time after we've subtracted 1 second. So now we're basically going to have 1 second less. After this, I'm just printing out my value. You would obviously do whatever you want with it, but in here I'm printing it out so we can see it. Then we're checking, is our start time, which is our new value that we just took a second to, equal to, or less than, so we have a less than and equal to node here, another time span. In this case, it's going to be equal to, if we split this, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0. So nothing. Then we do an if check, and then we basically say, okay, if it's true, our time is now 0, go ahead and say timer's elapsed, or do whatever you want. If not, what we're going to do is set a timer by function name, remove second from timer. Oops, I kind of need to fix this since I just named it. So basically we're calling ourselves, or recursing on ourselves, after 1 second. So what this does is basically subtract a second. Are we at our goal? If we are at our goal, do this. If not, call ourselves again after a second. 1 second goes by, subtract a second, and repeat. And it's basically going to keep calling itself every second, subtracting a second and checking, calling itself, subtracting and checking. And all we're doing here is calling the initial, on the begin play, remove 1 second is all we're doing. Technically, we probably want something like this, just to make this clean. And now when it starts up, it'll show 60 or 6. And then, again, helps if you actually called things the right, because I renamed it. And now it'll say 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, timer elapsed. So hopefully that helps, team. That's an easy way of doing a timer, countdown timer. Let's see. And now, blah, blah, blah. Where's my thing? Okay. Static mesh reference is not compatible with actor reference. How do I fix this? Well, a static mesh is a static mesh, and an actor is an actor. They are not the same. what basically are we trying to do? I have a working door in the level blueprint. When I try to make a class blueprint, I have a problem with that. So if we went to, well, we want this one closed, and oops, let's don't save our map, and let's go into our line trace 4 and 4. Actually, technically, I guess we might need a little more info, Stefan, on what you're trying to, where you're trying to put something. Like, for example, in this blueprint right here, we have our static mesh, which has a static mesh. This is a static mesh component, which is holding a static mesh. I can't put an actor in here because it's only going to take a static mesh. Just like I can't put a static mesh inside of an actor. It needs to go inside of a static mesh component. You have a working door in the level blueprint. Well, that's probably a bad thing in the first place because level blueprints are a bad place to put stuff. Just in general, level blueprints are horrible to work with. But when you try to make a class blueprint, I have a problem with that. Well, I'm assuming you mean something like an actor or a pawn. Are you trying to make a door out of a blueprint, or did you grab like let's see, props, door. Did you grab like a let me find somewhere I can put this. A door like this, a static mesh like this, and then you reference this inside of your level blueprint, like this, and then you're trying to somehow get this inside of a blueprint? Is that what we're run into an issue with? Okay. If you were to create a new blueprint, like an actor in this case, and we called this one, I put it in the wrong place, but like blueprint door actor, and then we put our door actor in the world right here, we opened it up, you need a static mesh component right here. And then you can assign your door inside of here, like that. Now your actor has a static mesh on it, and then that static mesh is assigned to our door. So if we go into here, you're going to end up with your same result, door and a door, except this one's a blueprint and this one's not. A pawn would be perfectly fine. Blueprint class, pawn. Blueprint door, pawn. Same thing, add a static mesh component. We have a static mesh, go over here, find our door, add the door, save that out, and then now we can, that's our actor, this one's our pawn version, and you'll see you have a pawn version, our actor version, and our static mesh version. Pawns are generally for things that you want to have something happen to in terms of AI or controller. If it's just a door that opens and closes, you probably want it to be an actor and not a pawn. But regardless, in terms of what we're doing here, trying to get a door working or a static mesh, then it really doesn't matter. You're not going to use the extra stuff that pawn gives you, basically. Yeah. And like Harry says, a pawn's a child of actor, a pawn's something you possess by a player or an AI. If you're not doing that, an actor is enough. But for our example here, it really doesn't matter. Technically, we could even have a character and do it. It would just be really weird, and we would not want to do it. But if you have a blueprint, and you want to add a static mesh to your blueprint, then it needs to be a component of the blueprint. Blueprints are a container for stuff, basically. But it needs to know what stuff you want in it. And the stuff that goes in it are based on components. So if I wanted to add a static mesh, in this case a door, I'd add a component for static mesh. If I wanted to add a light in here, then I would add a light, which is somewhere in here somewhere, right here, under the lights. If I wanted to add a sound, I might want to add an audio so you can play a sound. Etc., etc. There's a whole crap ton of stuff that you can see in here. Yeah. So you can't just add a static mesh to the blueprint because the blueprint's going to be like, I'm a drawer. I don't have any clue what you're trying to add to me. I'm just a drawer that holds stuff, but you have to tell me what stuff will... I guess a drawer would be bad. Maybe a piece of paper? Like a lined piece of paper? Your actor is your lined piece of paper, but you need to actually write down on each line exactly what you're going to put on that piece of paper. And each of those lines is basically a component. Yeah, and like Harry's saying, if you have just a stack mesh in the level, which we do in this case right here, and you're using the level blueprint to access it right here, you might want to rework it, create a blank actor class, put the door mesh in there, and move your code. I would highly recommend that advice is followed. Level blueprints are a throwback to Unreal Engine 3 and UDK with the creation of the blueprint system and the component system. I would highly recommend not using these. These should never be used anymore. Know the version numbers? Sure. It's a number, a number, a number, and a number. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. If we look up here, we can see it's 4.14.1- whatever. For Unreal Engine, you have the major version, the minor version, the bug fix version, maybe might be called. Hot fix, maybe. A sub version. I don't know exactly what they refer to it internally. That's a damn good question. You know what? We are totally off friggin' the rails today, which is highly amusing. Let's see if the Git code tells us what our version numbers. There we go. Let's see. Here we go. There is your version numbers in Unreal Engine 4. Major version, minor version, patch, change list, and the branch. That is what it means for Unreal Engine 4. So if we were to go look at this right here, we are going to see the major version is 4, the minor version is 14, the patch number is 1, and the changeless version is 3224400. And then the branch is ++ UE4 plus release -4.14. So to answer the question with an honest answer, thanks to the source code being available, for Unreal Engine, this is exactly what it means. First number, second number, third number, fourth number. See? That is really nice of Epic to give us that answer. Let's see. Can you make this level blueprint to class blueprint? Blueprint doorway. I have examples right here of blueprint doorways I did for someone else. But let's see if we can find that. Let's see. I'm guessing this is on the YouTube. Hey, it's on the YouTube. It's on the official video. Let's see. Let's see if we can quickly run through this. Yep, we've just got a sliding door, and it just this is basically what Harry said. You have all this code in here. This is a bunch of code inside of the level blueprint. If you were to take all of this code right here, all this code that they have here for the blueprint, and put it inside of, let me move this over here, an actor blueprint. You put all that code in here. And then when it referred to, trying to find the bigger version of this, right about here, right here. Here we go. Right here, where we have the sliding door reference, and it's in low resolution just because it hasn't buffered in yet. But where we have the sliding door reference right here, you can take this sliding door reference, and you could have it reference this right here. I'll name it sliding door. And then you'd have that as the reference instead of the one from the level blueprint. So it's basically the same thing. You could take all this existing code, put all this existing code inside of a level blueprint, an actor blueprint, and then when it references that sliding door here, you would put it right here. I'd be more than happy to duplicate this into a blueprint. I just don't have the time for it right now. I have a previous video where I showed someone how to make these doors right here, and technically I made a sliding door, just completely screwed up like the orientation here, as you can see. Yeah, just mouse button. But I have like doors that interact and things like that, and these are all self-dependent, independent. And what I'd recommend, Stefan, is follow that code, but put all the code inside of an active blueprint. When it references the sliding door, just, you know, have a static mesh component which has your door in it, wherever it's at here. I don't remember. I think glass window maybe, whatever they used. But just use this as your reference when they reference the level blueprint version. If you still have troubles, I will be back tomorrow on my normal streaming time. Feel free to ask for maybe doing exactly what you did today. Just ask for it put into a self-contained blueprint, and I'll be more than happy to help you. But for now, I need to finish up what I'm doing so I can finish up the stream for today. You caught us at the end of the stream, so I don't have a ton more time. Like Harry has mentioned, and like I've said, you should be able to do what you want just by replacing it with its own individual static mesh inside of your blueprint. See if it works. If you run into any problems, just go ahead and ask for help tomorrow, possibly. I don't remember what we were doing. I think I'm done, actually, honestly, for the day. Honestly, I don't remember what I was doing. Oh, this is the event to update the score, and then we have the update score, which actually everything's in there. It's just our targets don't actually do anything. Let's quickly make our targets actually do something here. We have destructible. We have the handle being hit, right? Yeah, we have handle being hit somewhere in here. I mean, I literally only should have like 2 things in here. Event handle being damaged. Okay, here we go. So if it gets destroyed, what we're going to do is we're going to get our game mode, and then we're going to add to the score. So handle add score right here before we destroy it. Like that. And we are going to add whatever our score value is, which we should in theory have here, called value. There we go. Honestly, let's see what happens. Obviously, we have 100 at the top just because that's what I set it at, but I gotta start the actual test. It should update the score. I don't know, I saw a number pop up. I saw 2 just pop up. Oh my gosh, did I really just do that? No, wait, what did I do? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so our score was working properly, but the problem was this nice happy little event right here, I never hooked up to over here. So now we are going to update ourselves properly. So we should still have 100 because I haven't zeroed it out. But now when I destroy the first target, we should get a point. Yeah, should have gotten a point, didn't get a point. Which I guess we will figure out why. Hello, Schlump. You managed to catch us right at the end. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so here is yeah, it should have worked. Didn't work. Should have worked. Because our score is going into our game mode. It's adding it properly, because I was able to do it properly. This one should be called here, which it is. This one, BPI game modes HUD, it should be passing along the update score to our shooting gallery HUD. I'm curious if this won't get called properly.
Bang.
Because of something I've done. Oh, I also need to respawn and start this. That's funny. Resume. That's our first one. I probably did. I get all the messages. I just when I'm streaming, I don't pay attention to anything.
Bang.
Okay, update score. So we know this one's being called properly. Okay, so our HUD right here is not getting the update score event. That's a bummer. I wonder if... Oops. I'm calling the wrong one. Game mode's HUD. No. Okay. Game mode's HUD. No, it implements it, right? Yeah, game mode's HUD. Well, I'm going to call this really confusing because this should be working. Okay, let me close down everything. Whenever things don't work properly, it's always good to just take a relaxing time. Start over, walk through everything from scratch. Yep, I will be more than happy to take a look for that. Look at that. Okay, so maps, shooting gallery map. We know that we are using. This is also, by the way, I'm contemplating. I am contemplating still. Actually using the built-in HUD class to do this properly, but right now I'm not. Let's see. You're calling update score on the game mode. So if we go to our framework, our shooting gallery game mode, technically on this one, I am calling this. This gets called correctly right here, and then the game mode is passed. Yeah, this gets called. This is working. It if we were to start this up, our game mode is properly getting the data, and it should be passing it to our. Oh my god! Wow. I'm not gonna say I'm an idiot, but I'm definitely gonna say I'm an idiot. Yeah. Nope, you're right there, Harry. You are 100% right. I'm instead of calling this on the HUD, I'm calling it on the game mode. Oh, that's funny. I'll tell you what. Yeah. Yep. I'm not gonna say that was stupid, but yeah, that was really stupid. That's pretty friggin' stupid, to be honest. If we're gonna be honest about this. Game mode HUD reference. So unfortunately, you have also seen the disadvantage of using interfaces. They fail silently because they're nice and no, you're basically I was telling the game mode to update the score rather than telling the HUD to update the score. I have a feeling this will work properly. Yeah, basically I'm getting the game mode inside the game mode. That should have been an indicator that I was doing something wrong.
Bang.
There we go, score of 2. So in theory, our second round should start up. We're not going to code the rounds until tomorrow.
Bang.
But our score is working properly, as you can see at the top of the screen.
Bang.
Assuming I can hit that one enough. There we go. Cool. So our score is working properly. But yeah, that is one of the disadvantages of using interfaces. Because they fail silently, your game's not going to crash, and you're not going to get these really annoying errors. But unfortunately, you will run into an issue where this happens and it fails silently and you're super confused. So with that, it looks like the wife just got home. I'm going to go and wrap up today's work. I do appreciate everyone kicking back and relaxing. Let's go ahead and update this so we know for tomorrow. let's see, 12:23, 12:26, and then start on what were we working on? I don't know. Let's go with finishing up this. Oh, the score of the UI. There we go. Finish up the UI for the game mode because we have no rounds working. So we're gonna go with that. So yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out. Epic. In case anyone hasn't seen the video on the channel, I am changing my video production stuff. I originally was doing 7 videos. Then I moved to 13 videos a week, and now I'm going to drop back down to 7. I'm going to incorporate the live streams as some of the videos for the week. When Epic streams, I will not be streaming. I'm not going to stream that day because it ended up causing just more issues with time. So basically, I should have 4 recorded videos a week and 3 live streams a week that will go on the channel as a minimum. On weeks or days that Epic doesn't stream, for example, this week, I will be streaming all week. So I will have 5 days of stream, so just like normal. We're starting the 1st of January. I won't be streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is going to help when I have to do things such as go to GDC or family events where I can't stream and I would feel bad about it normally. Now I can just have a recorded video and not feel bad. It's a personal thing. I'd feel bad. So that's going to wrap it up. I appreciate everyone for hanging out. If you, Stephanie, you still have issues for tomorrow, feel free to just ask at the beginning of the stream, and hopefully we have enough time, which if it's near the beginning we should, we'll whip up that little sliding thing for you. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everyone again hanging out. Contact me on the forums, the threads, the YouTube, the Twitch, the wherever you want, and I will see everyone tomorrow.